Here we go. All right, it's not yet.
Oh, my last name's not on there.
Gueldner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, GUE.
All right, looks like we are live. Hey, everybody. Glad everybody is here. I am super, super excited to have this conversation. I got two amazing women here, and we're going to have an incredible conversation about what is going on with this event that Elizabeth Gueldner has put together. And she has an incredible heart for supporting women entrepreneurs. And Dorothy is a legend in creating lots of women entrepreneurs. She's a great model of what it means to be a very, very successful, award-winning entrepreneur. So I wanted to take this opportunity to just share with everybody. I'm really, really passionate about what Elizabeth's put together. And I always want to do everything I can to get behind those and support that. So why don't we just start out with Elizabeth, talk a little bit about what you're doing, what you're excited about, and what you hope to achieve with this event that's happening this coming Thursday. Everybody just, there's a clue. Okay, so go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what you're doing, Elizabeth.
So the event is called Passions to Abundance. It's going to be Thursday, November 16th, starting at 9 a.m. Central. And I'm super excited. We have 15 speakers. These two, absolute amazing, right in front of us, are going to be two of the speakers. And I put the summit together because it's so dear to my heart. Just the words when you think passions to abundance. And you think about how many women or men are stuck with, how do we take our passions and do something with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Break the chains, whatever those chains look like. It could be fear of leaving a 9-to-5 or a corporate or a relationship, or it could just be, I have all these dreams inside of me, and how can I take them and be abundant with them? So I wanted to create this summit with such amazing speakers like you two and the other 13, because all of you bring such fabulous energy and wisdom and experiences, and will help everybody just be able to find the steps, the tangible, doable steps to get there. And they'll walk away from the summit feeling like, wow, that was simply amazing.
Awesome. I love it. I love it a lot. And Dorothy, you've been somebody that, what piqued your interest about being a part of this event?
Well, when Elizabeth reached out to me, I got really excited because it truly is an event to support women's growth. And that's what I've spent my whole life doing, right? I come from an industry that is typically run by men, but serves women. And I really made a decision decades ago. I really want to bring women to the forefront as the leaders in the beauty industry, not just the customers. And so that really was the spark that fueled me to really the passion to have women really thrive, just absolutely thrive in business, in their personal lives, and that merge point where, you're growing a business and you're growing your family. And it can be so, it can feel so daunting, especially when we're not exactly sure what to do. Yeah. So it was thrilling to me to think that there was an opportunity to come in here and bring 43 years of experience as owning a business. And as Jeff and I spoke about the other day, 50 years since I earned my first dollar, since I had to go, went out and started something in my community. And just to be able to do that, to be able to bring some of that experience and answer the questions that women have about what it takes to grow a business, to grow a family, to do it with a sense of grace and ease, and just being that support system. So I'm thrilled that, Elizabeth, that you have created this event, and honored to be able to speak to it, and really excited about what we're creating on the 16th. Thank you.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, and something that I think really. So anybody that's just checking in here, we'd love to hear where you're checking in from. So if you could comment that in the comment section and tell us where you're checking in from, and share one of your passions. Like, share a passion that you are currently fulfilling, or a passion that you would like to fulfill, and we can do what we can to support you. So we're here. This is an interactive conversation, and you're amongst three people that have been through lots of different things, and out of that we get to offer support to help accelerate somebody else's learning curve. The part that I really enjoyed about it is that I can't even tell you how many times I've had conversation, and this isn't gender, but it is in a way, in the sense of I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with women, and they were in a situation where they were reliant on somebody else, and that person that they were reliant on called the shots. Like really denied somebody stepping in their greatness, and it just broke my heart. And so I really get passionate when it comes to supporting women and being able to take what they're passionate about, because women operate from their heart far more than men, right? That's why I lost my hair. I operated in my head way too much. And so women know how to drop into their heart and really get passionate about what they want to create. And the world needs more female entrepreneurs. They just do. Different makers, influencers. And so I want to do all I can to be a part of supporting that. And so, Elizabeth, yeah, talk a little bit about what some of your journey and what's led you to, because people see the end result of what we've created, right? And they look at that and go, no, I can never be there, or it must be nice, or all those conversations that we've all heard, right? But not understanding that there's a journey. Yes. And the reason we are all three here is because we stayed consistent, we stayed committed to that journey. We're willing to go through whatever was necessary to get us here. So tell us a little bit about your journey, and out of that, what do you think was part of inspiring you to really want to mentor other women and accelerate what it is that they want to create?
Well, so my journey started a very long time ago. As a very young woman, I was catapulted into a men's world. I was in the insurance and marketing, and I was super successful. And I felt good about my success, but not about how I felt like I was being treated, right? So there's this feeling of I have to stay because I'm making a lot of money and I'm protected with health insurance, but yet I'm being treated like I'm micromanaged and put a lid on and very verbally abused. And I stayed because that all goes back to a whole nother conversation of, childhood and dysfunction and all that. And the reason we all stay because we're afraid, because our voice is in our head, right? The mindset. So when that career ended, I went to another career, and very different, recreated myself. And I, again, jumped right into a situation with a micromanaging, abusive, and it kind of paralleled with my personal life. And I started to realize there's a severe pattern here, right? And I've been working on myself for a long time. And I think self-work and mindset is a big part of how you go from being beat down to pick yourself up. It doesn't happen overnight. So why I wanted so much to mentor and empower women is because there's so many women like me that I stayed stuck for up until over 4 years ago. And it was kind of a forced situation, to be honest with you. And that forced situation created me to have to say, I've got to find myself. I've got to find my voice, and I've got to be able to do this on my own without another micromanaging boss. And I can be my own boss. And it's empowering. It's super empowering. And I want that for other women because they don't think they can do it. I didn't. So I know it's a journey. But when you have this many people, including you, Jeff, that can help people on this journey, wow, the sky is unlimited. I didn't have that. I was just trying to figure it all out by myself. So that was one of the big reasons I wanted to put this together. So people have all these different voices to help them, all these feelings and opinions.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And you said something I think is imperative. By the way, everybody, if you could share this, that would be much appreciated, because this little ticker that's going along the bottom that says for gifts, go to passionstoabundance.com/Jeff Aldolan, because I don't know what any other speakers are bringing, but I know they're going to bring incredible knowledge and incredible expertise in their fields. There's lots and lots of abundance to be had for everybody that attends. But I know what Dorothy and I are going to bring is a very, very special guest, or a gift that I think we're ridiculous in saying that it's worth $5,000. It's actually worth probably $50,000. It is an incredible piece of information that's going to be amazing watching how that all plays out. So you want to be sure that you sign up for this summit that's going to be on Thursday, and then share this with as many people as possible, because you said something, Elizabeth, that I'm sure Dorothy can relate to this as well, and anybody listen to this. Unfortunately, for most humans, it takes an incredible amount of pain before they decide to make a choice, before they choose to change their lives, right? And for me, it was a car accident, right? Me almost ended my sister's life for me to even start considering the way that I was living. And there's a line by the band Rush that says, "We pay the price, but we don't count the cost." right? And really looking at the how the collective conscious has programmed us that being strong and powerful, and more strong is, I would use more an accurate word, is that, and not to admit that you're weak and not to reach out for help and all this stuff, and just how collectively that's impacted everybody. So in order for us to really start moving the needle and questioning what it is that we're doing, we have to go through incredible pain. And for some people like me, literally my life was on the line. And I know Dorothy has a really riveting story around some of the things that she's gone through as well, to really get people to move the needle. And I just want to add that out there, is that, friends, understand that every single decision you make is really clarifying what you truly value. Right. And when I hear somebody talking about passions to abundance, I get really excited about that, because life wasn't meant to be here to just exist. Life was meant to live, and live abundantly, and really go after what it is that you truly want to desire. So everybody that is going to be on the panel of speakers has incredible stories. And I know Dorothy has really been on a journey of herself. And so Dorothy, if you could take what Elizabeth said and share a little bit about your journey as well, because when we're amongst people that have gone through or been able to create some of the things that we aspire to create, there's clues, right? And I'm always looking for the clues. Success leaves clues, right? And when I heard that by this 20-year-old kid at some speaking event, and it landed for me, and it's like, oh my gosh, success leaves clues. And it's always putting yourself in the proximity of people that have had the success, and look for the clues that they drop. And those are the things that you take, and really being able to accelerate what it is that you truly want to create. So Dorothy, share a little bit about your story. And yeah, everybody,
Yeah.
you want to put a helmet on about this one. It's about,
oh my gosh. Yes, thank you. You know, I do want to, I want to speak directly to something that you said, Elizabeth, because this is so important. And I think it affects so many people, you know, talking about going back to those childhood points, right? So inherently, females are conditioned to show up and please. They're show up and make people happy. Give them your smile, make them feel good. Men are inherently conditioned to show up and produce results and look strong. And because that's the expectation that is so, you know, it's such a burden for us to carry, we meld ourselves into all kinds of shapes trying to do that. And we see it in every single area of our life, in our bodies, in our surroundings, in our relationships, you know, in our spirituality, in our careers, and in our money. So I really acknowledge you for the vulnerable statements that you just made that got you to this point, because it usually is, you know, to what Jeff was talking about, these pivotal points happen in our life. And if we miss that opportunity because we get stuck in the sadness of the story or the victimhood of the story, we can stay there for a long time. And especially if a lot of people really know, you know, what happened, we are looking for sympathy. And that is just absolutely the dead end street to growth. And, you know, Jeff, I intimately know your story, and I know your sister, and I know what happened, and what you've been able to pivot and create out of that event that would put most people in their grave, really. And if not in their physical grave, in their emotional grave. You know, for me, really one of the pivotal turning points was I was working 3 jobs to put myself through college. And it was hard. It was a grind. And I didn't have family or financial support for this. And a hair salon came up, and I had gone to a Votech school during high school. So I had my teaching license in the state of Pennsylvania for cosmetology. And I thought, man, I'm working so hard to get myself educated here. And what if I buy this business? I could be my own boss, as if I knew at 19 years old what that would look like. And I was so proud of myself. I went and signed a contract, and And I came home and I told my parents, like I called them in for my big announcement, and I was so excited. And I said, Dad, I need you to help me sell my car. I owned my car. I had bought it myself. I need you to help me sell my cars because I just signed an agreement and I have to pay this woman in 7 days. And my father looked at me and said, you'll never be smart enough to know how to run a business. And I just don't want to be a part of watching you fail. And that was the pivotal moment for me, that it was like, I will spend, and unfortunately my father died 2 years later, but I would spend decades proving to the ghosts of my father that I was smart enough, that I was good enough. And, I want to share an interesting statistic for anybody who's watching. Less than 2% of women-owned businesses in the world ever scale to 7 figures. Less than 2% ever make $1 million a year in revenue, whether it's a business, a practice, whatever it is. Less than 2% of women ever reach that goal. I want to change that goal. That's what I do in my coaching practice. Let's put the systems in place. Let's adjust the mindset so that you have what it takes. And mostly that's, trust in yourself, and your money story, which I know we're going to talk about a lot during the event, or at least that's what, my plan is to talk about how to get women, or, anybody really who's listening, through the money mindset blockages, so that you can scale up to 7 figures and beyond. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's really looking at how we are conditioned as children to behave and how we mold and meld ourselves into that figure that got us love as children, and we sacrifice ourselves, our health, our souls, our companies, our money, our relationships, trying to do that. And then really looking at those pivotal points in your life and extracting what are the lessons that you learned and how they've shaped you as well. So thank you. Back to you, Jeff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I can't tell you, Elizabeth, how excited I am for all this. I'm just, when I'm coaching students or clients, I want them to really get a clear vision of what it is that they want to create, right? Like, who is the person that you want to speak to? Who is it that your message is going to resonate with them and really call them forward to really have them step beyond and transcend the things that hold them back, right? And so do you have an idea of like, who would this event really speak to? And what would be something that, because unfortunately, I get it. Unfortunately, a lot of people think, well, we don't have to, there's not really much I have to invest to be a part of this, right? But understand, you are investing your time, right? Anybody that attends to this event. So I really want to encourage you to really think about, first of all, the panel of speakers that are going to be there, right? Like, just looking at the sum total of what each of them have created. And obviously I know what I'm going to bring to the table, and Dorothy's going to bring to the table, but you have, a bunch of speakers that have gone through a lot of different things and have some really incredible strategies. So Elizabeth, who is that person that you really want to connect with and really speak to them so that they don't have to go through what you've gone through? And like, what is it that the message that you really, what is the intention and the person that you're speaking to at this event?
Wow, that's a really good question. Okay. This is what came from my heart, is that little girl that's inside that's broken. That really she wants out. She wants to be herself. That girl's me, right? And I've been fighting it all my life and, done all the things, all the therapy, all the stuff. And I know there's women out there that are going to watch this that go through pain on the daily, whatever it is, whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, boss abuse, or internal abuse. And it's here. And those voices and those noises, I know this is getting a little off subject, but that's when I wanted to pick this subject matter, it's because I was talking to myself. And when I wanted to choose all of you wonderful speakers, I wanted to choose people that I felt talked to my heart, that I thought, if you could speak to my heart, you could speak to other people that are like me. And we're all that person inside. It's just a matter of where we've gone to on our journey, right? My journey will always be for the rest of my life, and like all of ours. And I'm at a part of my journey, right? But at the part I'm in could help somebody at the part they're in. And, and the part you two are in could help somebody at the part you're in. So, because we all have that person inside of us that's yearning to, well, at least I know I do, that's yearning to say, I want out of this box I'd put myself in my whole life because I didn't think I deserved better, or I'm not good enough, or all this stuff and all the words that we hear. I'm speaking to that person. Or y'all are speaking. We're all speaking to that person.
Right. Great answer. Yeah, and it's being able to look at. I say this, it's one of the memes that I put out there a long time ago. It's our challenge is someone else's inspiration, right? And anytime that we can take our pain and take the lesson out of that and inspire somebody else to be able to accelerate that, then to me, that's a life of fulfillment, right? Like I've turned my pain into the purpose. And, it's, there's lots of reasons I don't have hair on my head. I've already discussed one of them, right? But another one is I can be hard-headed and really think that, and the hard-headedness, my journey has been my fear of being vulnerable, right? And really letting people know that I'm struggling, like I'm hurting, like I'm scared. I don't know what the answer is. And we live in a society that, and we were raised in a system that humiliated questions, humiliated if I took a risk and I didn't have the results that I wanted. We got humiliated for it. And so that's been my mission of, and I had a, and if that question was reversed as far as, what inspires me to do what I do, when I was in second grade, and I'm saying this for anybody that's watching this, right, of really looking at, there are moments in your life that have happened that is the seed that can transform countless lives. One event in your life could be the seed that transforms countless lives. And here's one that really got me. I had a very successful career in jewelry, had my own jewelry business, lots of awards, all the acknowledgement, everything anybody would ever want in a career. And I wasn't finding what I really wanted to find. I didn't feel fulfilled, and really got to see a side of society that I really did not appreciate. I seen women literally say that they would give their kids up for jewelry. And so it just really rubbed me in a way that wasn't fulfilling for me. But I kept moving forward, and I started asking myself some questions about what was it about jewelry that really inspired me? What was it about jewelry that moved me to do the things that I had done and make me willing to be able to take the risks that I did? And I loved it. Very grateful for my career in jewelry. Love jewelry today. It's an amazing thing. But one of the things about jewelry is it's one of the things that is one of the most valuable heirlooms, right? Like we can transfer it down for generations. And I got thinking about a question that somebody asked me, and it was, what events in your life have shaped you to inspire what you do today? And it was this event when I was in second grade, and there was a kid by the name of Kevin Thompson that was a little bit slower than everybody else in class. And I was one of the bigger kids. So I befriended him and was like protecting him. And then one day I found out through my mom saying, do you know who Kevin Thompson is? Like, no. And she's like, well, he's in the obituary. And I'm like, I didn't even know what the obituary was. Right. And she goes, well, this is where people pass. They put people to pass. And I'm like, absolutely in shock. Like what? And I was in a household that you didn't process feelings. Right. So I go to school the next day, and we were being transported to another school because of our school had caught on fire. So they were transferring us to another school. And I remember getting off the bus and running as fast as I could to go up to Mrs. Gunnarsson and say, did you hear what happened to Kevin? She goes, yes. We will never mention his name again.
Oh.
Right. And I did not realize the decision that I made in that moment that has inspired the rest of my life. And that decision that I made in that moment, I will never let anybody not feel like they don't matter. Right. And so that's been like, it took me decades, obviously, to get to the point where I was actually inspiring people. But see, we all have that inside of us, right? Like there is, like, nobody's experienced life like Elizabeth had. Nobody experienced life like Dorothy has, right? And I really look forward to getting to know you much better, Elizabeth. And Dorothy, I've known, I know Dorothy very well, but it's really looking at the things that you have gone through in each of us is literally the catalyst that could shorten someone else's acceleration curve. And that's why I love what you're talking about, because let's be real, like we've lived in a patriarchic society, and a lot of that has been created and generated what it's generated. I have no judgment about it. It's understanding the observational aspect of it. But it's because the more I understand feminine energy and the power of it, it's like, oh my gosh, just looking up the word creation, right? And looking at where that originally came from, you look up creature, creation. I can't remember, there was another word, but the word Cree literally is a female noun. It's a female noun. So I want to do all that I can to get women to step into their greatness, because we need more of the heart aspect into the collective of what we're doing, especially in business, right? Because business, why are we in business? To serve others, right? And so, you said something, Elizabeth, that I want you to expand on a little bit. The distinction of, see, again, it goes back to, we pay the price, but we don't count the cost. The distinction of what you're doing now, as opposed to the difference of when you were in corporate world. Because I was in corporate world too, right? And not even recognizing, I was so, like, I'm in the corporate world, I'm a big shot and blah, 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 but not even realizing the price. Like, just the word benefits, I think, is an interesting term that they use to put golden handcuffs on you, right? Is looking at what is the major distinction of where you're at now, and what message would you deliver to somebody, the difference of being in the corporate world and where you're at today?
Wow, that's a great question, Jeff. I remember when everything changed in 2019, I think, yeah. And I just thought, literally, I thought, what am I going to do? I really felt like I'm just not going to die, but I felt like I'm so lost. I'm nothing if I don't have my shield and protection with this corporate, because I had a lot of clients and things like that. What's going to happen? What's the world going to think? What's my community going to think? Oh my gosh. It was just and I was so afraid. And I'm not ashamed to say that. The fear, unfortunately, that's one of the things that has been very strong and carried with me as a woman, is fear of many things. And I work on that on the daily. That's just always going to be something I work on, because instead of looking at the picture very clearly and saying, this is so unhealthy, you're so unhappy, and everybody saw it. Everybody saw what was going on for years. I saw it. But the stifling fear of stepping out was just beyond what I could even do, I guess. Now, what I would say to somebody, if I could hold their hand, which nobody did at that time, they all saw it. And I think this is also very interesting, but nobody really took me by the hand and said, hey, let's really sit down and talk about this, or let's walk through this together. Or, I'll be there by your side to help you make it through this transition of fear of being, because I'm a single woman as well, and I don't have any children. So you put that on top of, oh my gosh, now but looking at the whole picture, I've been my own survivor my whole life. So anyway, if I could say to somebody, trust, really, there's an inner wisdom and intuition that God put in us, and that's there. And I heard it, but I didn't trust it. And it was, I hear it now. And I, when I have that fear, I start doing a faith over fear, faith over fear, faith over fear, trust over worry, trust over, and these are mantras I do for myself every day. And because we all have this, we all have it in us.
That's powerful. Yeah. It's a meme that I seen that says, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Right. And doubt is darkness's greatest strategy. Right. And really looking at, as I was listening to your story, it's a story that has a similar theme to a lot of people, right? Like hanging on to security, right? And for me, it's like, okay, cool. What is the ultimate security, right? Your ultimate security is being able to trust your ability to create, right? Like to be able to create whatever outcome that you want to create, and having the willingness and the fortitude and the environment, right? Because that's the other part of when we're in those types of environments, we are bleeding out our energy that is keeping us in a reactive state, and we're not able to even see what is possible, right? I mean, and the opportunities are all around, but we just don't have the belief system or the willingness or the vibration to even see what the opportunity presents itself, right? Because we're in a reactive state. And reactive and money doesn't act really well together, right? And we get into relationships like that too, right? Like we get in, I don't want to be alone, so I'm just going to take, anybody that pays attention to me, and then we end up having a whatever storm down the road and going, how did I get here? It's like, because the choices you made and what you valued when you made those choices, right? And the other part of it is understanding. And I just love your vulnerability. And again, that's why I want to align and do what I can to support this event, because it's people understanding that our vulnerability is our superpower, right? And letting our inner world out and allowing other people the opportunity to support us, right? And because our environment is stronger than our willpower. And if we are in an environment that is toxic and beating us down, then it becomes mission critical. And one of the things that I say, and I know Dorothy, you have a lot to say on this, and before I share or pass it to you, I use this analogy, and I know it can really trigger people, but my intention in saying this analogy is really to get people aware of what it means to value something, right? And if I took somebody's child and put a gun to their head and said, you're going to achieve your dreams or I take your child's life, right? That is putting the level of value into the reality, because people value their excuses more than they value the power that they have within themselves. And I get it. Like, I've lived this out, right? Like, I used to say, well, if people told me that if you're drinking and driving is going to kill somebody, I'm like, well, if it's their time to go, it's their time to go. And that's just the mindset that I had at that point. But thank God, literally thank God, my sister was in that car, right? Because that's what it took to get my attention, right? But looking at and I'm not going to share it here. You're going to have to attend the summits. And by the way, the link is on the bottom of this on the ticker tape. Go to passionstoabundance.com/Jeff Faldon. I know what Dorothy and I are going to share. And I'm going to share a framework that is literally going to rewrite your inner program from this moment forward when you attend the summit. I'm just going to leave that right there for you. Okay? It's going to blow your mind, right? Because the strategies that we use unconsciously is what's creating your life. Period. Right? It's our internal world that's creating our outer world. You don't like the results your outer world is doing? Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in an environment that's going to support you in creating different strategies to move you forward. But Dorothy, talk about some of the things, like how did that land for you when Elizabeth was telling her story and what inspired her? I know.
Yeah, Elizabeth, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for the vulnerability, and I assure you, I mean, it was the same for me. And I think it's the same for everybody. You know, when you were speaking, I was thinking for 21 years, I was a part of an organization for women who were presidents of their Women Presidents Organization. Amazing, powerful organization of women. You had to, your business had to be at $1 million a year to be in there. And we had women who were at $1 million a year and women who were at hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And, you know, when I very first got there, the first year I went to my first annual conference and I thought, oh my gosh, I hope nobody knows how much I don't know. I hope nobody sees how scared I am, you know, and I was 40 years old and had already, you know, had a lot of success, but that fear stays with us. And it was debilitating as a child. It was debilitating, you know. I've shared this story that this is the things that have, you know, the pivotal points that have an impact on us. In 10th grade, I went to a Catholic high school and I wasn't getting an algebra concept. And the nun picked me up by my ear and dragged me up to the front of the room, Sister Kateri, and said, I want you to tell this room that you are stupid. And because I had asked the same question twice because I couldn't get this, we were in Algebra 2. Algebra 2 is hard, right? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get the concept. And I asked her for the second time to please repeat it. And she made me, and I said, I'm not saying that. And she said, you will tell this class that you are stupid. So, you know, I have that happen when I'm in 10th grade. And then a couple years later, my father says this to me. So that was always my fear. That was like the secret. I never wanted anybody to know that I might not really be as smart as my business looks successful, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to find out, like, and thinking it was a mistake that all these things were happening because I had this internal belief that they were right. And I put so much energy into their words that were just ridiculous. They were, you know, those words were said from a wound of, you know, both the nun and my father. But, you know, when you were speaking about that, you know, here I'd be in this organization at these conferences with these amazingly successful women, and then would sit down at dinner and everybody would relax because, we could take the mask off, right? We could drop the act a little bit. And there we were at dinner, just talking about our life and our families and our problems and our health and all of this. And what I learned was that it didn't matter if it was a $2 million or a $200 million business. We all had that same fear, those same fears. We all had these ceilings of complexity. I mean, I think about it. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act was not passed until 1979. That's the year I graduated from high school. The year I graduated from high school, you could still be fired for getting pregnant at work. And, right now, my husband and I are watching Lessons in Chemistry. I just read that book, and we're watching the series on Netflix. And it's crazy how much we've grown. And I'm so happy that you did this, because at least I know what Jeff and I are talking about. We give you the tools. It's like, okay, here's the bridge. Here's all the fear behind us. And here's all the success and the peace ahead of you. And we're giving you tools to walk across that bridge. And that's why I'm so excited that we both get to speak together during the event, is because we're able to share things that people can start using in the moment, asking questions that as soon as you start asking yourself those questions, like, the questions that we've been talking about so far, like, what was the pivotal point for you? What were the things, what were the parts of yourself that you were terrified? Because when we're in resistance to those parts of ourself and we're trying to pretend like they're not there and we're denying them, they are eating away at our insides, and they are driving our behavior. And the very second that we acknowledge those fears and we acknowledge the pain that we felt and the powerlessness that we felt, and then we can go back and love those parts of ourselves that weren't powerful enough to create the result we wanted to. The very second we put even a nanosecond of energy towards those things, we start to unlock the dam, right? And those are those first steps across that bridge. And so I'm so incredibly excited about what we're able to share with your group. But, I want to just assure anybody who's listening that those ceilings of complexity, that that we can allow them to stop us, or we could use them as, they can sabotage us. It could be a setback, or it could be a stepping stone. And breaking through those ceilings of complexity only comes when we embrace what has been stopping us to this point. We stop resisting it, and we start really acknowledging what those fears are, what the vulnerabilities are, where the weaknesses are, what we hope people never know. The biggest, what's the biggest secret that you hope nobody ever finds out about you? Well, trust me, that biggest secret that you have had to be the survivor to overcome, that absolutely is your opportunity to teach the people who need to know that. So, Elizabeth, I love that you are, how you said it, I'm speaking to myself in this event.
Yes.
What a powerful, powerful thing. And that, it's just, I have chills thinking about it, that you chose not to hide under the bed from the incoming missiles that we know are all coming at us every day, that you chose to speak out and say, hey, here's what it feels like. It is vulnerable space. It can be terrifying. It can be so scary and overwhelming. And there are tools. There is a way to get to the other side of that. And it begins with really owning and embracing the vulnerable parts of ourselves. So I love so much that you've said that so much, Elizabeth. Thank you for that. Very, very powerful.
Thank you.
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. Click the link in the bottom. Like, it's gonna be so good.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm thinking like the person that would be there, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm listening to Dorothy, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I'm the person in the audience, right? Mm-hmm. Going, okay, how do I get there? You know what I mean? So you're talking about the bridge to take it and take the insecurities and love them and not hate them and all this stuff. How at the summit are you two going to share? We could just share a little bit just so they'll get excited about coming. But I'm just curious, because I'm that girl that would be like, okay, now tell me what's next. Okay, what's next? How do I bridge it? What do I do now?
Yeah. Okay, okay. I'm gonna just tell you, I'm gonna be real here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you like it is. Okay, between now and then, you're gonna want to go get a helmet. Okay, because when you attend a summit, your mind gonna be blown off, right? Because everything we do, everything we do, and I only use that word when it applies. Everything we do is an automatic strategy we already have inside of us. Everything we do. Okay. So I'm going to share with you, and I know Dorothy's going to share what she shares, which is incredible in itself. I'm going to share with you some strategies that's going to literally teach you how to rewrite your internal program. One of my favorite quotes, and I'm not big on favorites because I like this experience and everything. This is a quote that was a game changer for me. If we do not make our unconscious conscious, it will control our lives and we will call it fate. By Carl Jung. By the time we're 35 years of age, over 90% of our life is automatic. So that just means if are we going to live by default or are we going to live by design, right? So I'm going to share some strategies with you that are literally going to give you the ability to consciously rewrite your unconscious programs so that you live from a place of design rather than default. And I'm going to give you some philosophies and some frameworks that are going to allow you to apply it in every area of your life, because I know this is going to tick some people off, but so be it. That's the guy that I get to be, right? Because I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not an inspirational guy. I'm a guy that gives strategies that radically change people's lives, right? Like I'm an acceleration guy, and I want to get you, and what determines how fast we accelerate through something is our resistance to it, right? And one of you talked about resistance. What we resist owns us. It literally owns us, okay? So to answer your question not to leave them completely hanging, but you're going to have to attend the summit to get the rest of it. Friends, we don't get what we want. This is why setting goals don't work. We get what we are committed to. And when you start getting real about how committed you are to your excuses, how committed you are to the environment that you're in, and how committed you are to safety, and how committed you are to not looking at fear and really understanding how fear is supposed to serve us. So you can't have courage without fear. You need to have fear in order for you to have the courage and belief in yourself to transcend what is uncomfortable, to step into your greatness, right? But when you commit to you and you say, I'm willing to go through whatever is necessary for me to become the version of me that God designed me to be, because just understand this, friend, every single thing that has happened since the dawn of time had to happen for you to be here. Like, I just want you to wrap your head around that. You are not a mistake ever, no matter what your circumstances are. And that's the unfortunate part of everybody else, is what they do is they use circumstances to make decisions that kill and domesticate their dream rather than making decisions that support their vision, right? So everything that's had to happen was necessary for you to be where you're at today. You have a message inside of you, whatever that means. It could be to one person, it could be to 1 million people. It doesn't matter. But understanding the value of your life. A life of fulfillment is learning how to transcend your pain and then teach other people how to do the exact same thing, right? Like, I would have never signed up for the class that I've been through called life, right? And yet I wouldn't change anything that's got me where I'm at, because where I'm at today, like, I was some old Okie from North Dakota. Like, I don't want to tell anybody this, but I graduated 7th in my class. Okay. Now, that's a big deal. But the thing was that there was only 7 in my class. Okay. I didn't have the fortitude or the academics. Like, I was set up to create a car wreck that almost killed me and my sister. That's where I came from. And I made a decision that I valued life. And today is what is a result of it. So that, to answer your question, show up to the summit and you'll get the rest of it, because
I'll be there.
Everything we do is strategy. Everything we do is strategies. And I'll leave with this before I ask Dorothy. Asking yourself this question. Your subconscious is a goal-seeking mechanism on steroids. Everybody's heard that, but I'm going to take it to a next level, right? It wants to serve you. Like, that's its highest intention. It wants to serve you. But this is what's happening. It's going to serve you the way it believes you want to be served. And so when you're in a negative situation, or you're getting results that you don't want, or you're in a relationship that you don't want, or you're in a job that doesn't value who you are, you want to ask yourself this question and then get really real. And this is the thing that I've seen stop more people than anything, is people don't want to get honest about their inadequacies. And it's your inadequacies that determine the quality of your life. Your relationship with your inadequacies determines the quality of your life. So asking yourself this question: what is the benefit that I am receiving out of being in this situation? Because you wouldn't be there unless you got a benefit. And Dorothy talked about it already, about the victim part of us, right? Because we want sympathy. Well, please, if you don't understand my situation, and yeah, I have a very, very, very great relationship with pain and suffering. Been a big part of my life, right? And I choose not to do that as much as possible. Life is life, and life's going to happen to us, right? Or happen through us. But you got to look and ask yourself, how is this benefiting me staying in this type of relationship? And you'd be surprised on how many things we allow ourselves to suffer through so that we can play the game of being small.
Yeah.
Our environment is stronger than our willpower. And if we want to change our environment, then we have to raise our vibration, and we have to put ourselves in a support system that will transcend us and call us forward. This summit is going to be a perfect place for everybody to have that type of exposure to teachers that are going to give you some strategies going to change your life. So, Dorothy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so much. So there's the summit, and then there's the gifts that you get if you attend the summit, right? So Jeff and I put a tremendous amount of thought into creating a gift that we are giving you that really speaks right in very specific strategies. And Jeff, I loved what you said about, you know, playing small. And you know what I had written down here to share was, you know, stories. It's the stories that keep us playing the small game. I have worked with, you know, I've employed over 1,000 people, primarily females, in the beauty industry, that I've had to get them comfortable selling. And so if you think there's anybody who is the anti-salesperson, it's the person who is doing your massage or your facial, because they believe that you're there to relax, not to be able to have like a fabulous skin when you go home, right? It's all linked to the story about their money mindset, right? And so if we think about stories, which is stories, there are 4 pillars to the framework that I coach from, and stories is the first one. How do we use stories to keep us playing small? So this is very, very common, especially with women who come from different cultural backgrounds other than the United States, or even in the United States, but a strong cultural family. If there was financial loss, if there was business loss, if there was not entrepreneurial spirit in the family, and here we have somebody who is so brilliant, and they have a product, they have an idea, they have a service, and they really want to bring it to the market, because they are afraid to hurt the feelings of the people around them who chose, you know, look, action is what separates the dreamers from the doers. And so if we saw that we had parents who had big dreams but didn't know how to go for them, what happens if we go for our big dream? We don't want to make our parents feel bad. We don't want to make our caretakers feel bad, because every time we step forward, we become the mirror of inadequacy for what other people didn't do, right? And that's their journey, that's their story. And if people are around you and not supporting you, it's only that they couldn't do it themselves. And instead of looking in the mirror and saying, what stopped me? Let me get curious here. What stopped me? They're going to throw darts at you. And this is a really important piece of this when we are on the trajectory to really grow the happiness, the money, the joy in our lives, is that story that keeps us playing the small game really is the one is what's running the show so many times. So when you ask about what we're sharing, so I have learned in, 63 years and having to overcome tremendous loss and tragedy that has been unbelievable, that how I've been able to get through that is really asking myself, what's the lesson I learned? And so what I have found is so incredibly effective is that by asking really powerful questions to the group, questions that allow them to think about things in a way that they've never thought about things before. And, because I speak to a lot of women's group, I mean, I go right in. Where in your life are you pretending that you're satisfied?
That's good.
Because how we do anything is how we do everything. So if you are pretending that you're satisfied in the bedroom and you've locked yourself in a corner after that very first episode, because now what do you do on, visit 3 of intimacy? Say, well, wait a minute, can you do it a little differently? No, we're not going to do that because we are conditioned to please. And then we go through life thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Why don't they create Viagra for women? Right? When really, all it is we weren't comfortable being able to ask for what we want because we're so freaking terrified that it's going to make somebody else uncomfortable. So we sacrifice ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we do this in every area of our life. We do this in every area of our life. So, my strategy is to ask questions that I have learned really allow you to start to see, how can I leverage what I have? How can I use these setbacks as these stepping stones? How can I use these obstacles that I feel are so onerous to me right now and really turn them into opportunities? Because that's really what separates, people who stay on their couch or people who step up and decide I'm going to go for it and be successful. And they bring that passion to the marketplace. I mean, it's really asking ourselves the tough questions and because Jeff and I are both, run coaching practices and run groups and do this for people. It's really being able to show our own vulnerability in a way, as you just did, Elizabeth, that holds the emotional hand of the person who didn't know that it was safe space to do that. And what I love about your platform and your event is it is space to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
And, everything that I know about the other speakers that are going to be there is they are truly authentic speakers who have taken every lesson that they've learned and they packaged it in a way that they can deliver it to us. And it is such an honor for me always to be coaching with Jeff, who I met him as my coach many, many years ago when I manifested. I need a coach who isn't going to let me turn around and start coaching them, 4 months in, because that's what was happening. And so for it doesn't matter what level of success or business where you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your starting point is, whether you are thinking about starting a business, whether you are thinking about branching out, whether you're thinking about doing self-development work, or you are like us. We've been doing this for decades and decades and decades, and we still learn something new. I promise you that when we are on the event, we will be taking notes from the other speakers, and your questions will teach us something. They will teach us something. And I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait. So it is November 16th. Register at the link below. Go to if you go over to my Facebook or Instagram, Streamline Success, or Dorothy Andreas, you will see the links to register there. Come into the group on the 16th and come on in. Get the training, get the free gifts. The gifts are unbelievable. The gifts are unbelievable that the speakers are giving away. So, Elizabeth, I just want to acknowledge you. I want to thank you. I want to thank your partners. I want to thank Jeff. I want to thank the other speakers. What we are delivering to you on the 16th is really phenomenal, pivotal, and life-changing. So we cannot wait to be with your group. Thank you so much.
Me too.
Yeah. So, Elizabeth, is there any closing words that you would like to add before I wrap this up for us?
I'm just super excited. And this has really got me really fired up inside and super excited before going because, this is my first time doing a summit format like this, right? Mm-hmm. And as I've been growing and learning and meeting everybody, and I have actually grown from this experience. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're all talking about. Just the thought of me even doing this when I first started was so scary again, right? But now I've stepped out and I'm just going to do it on Thursday. And I know it's going to be the most beautiful, magical event because all of us It's the right people. God put the right people in my heart and the right people to come on Thursday. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And everybody that's watching this, if you could please share this, and then in your comments, please say highlight or at everyone. We want to get this message out there. And I want to close with this thought. 3 years ago, this world shut down. It's coming again. And like, you can believe me or not, I would encourage you not believe me and go do your own research. It's going to happen again. Right. And we want to do every single thing we can to prepare you so that you're not impacted. When COVID happened, best year of my life. It was the best year of my coaching life because I had tools and strategies in place that would allow me to continue moving forward. And looking at 2020, like hindsight's 2020, right? Like looking at what happened when the world shut down, it really got us in touch with what we valued. And unfortunately, some people didn't fare so well. And this is what this is all about, is empowering you to take your information, your dreams, your wisdom to be able to stand into your greatness and create the life that you truly want to live, to design it rather than live by default. And so I would encourage you to bring as many people as you know as possible and be the inspiration in your community of friends by sharing something with them that could literally transform their lives. You be the needle mover and giving information to your friends that could literally be the thing that might take them out of the environment that they're in. It might get them to quit the job that they've always wanted to quit, but they never felt that they had the inspiration or something or the tools or strategies to take them to the next level. This is an opportunity to change your life. This is a clue that is being left that could create success in your life. And we would love for each of you to be there and do all you can to support us. And if you have any questions for Dorothy or Elizabeth or I, please reach out. This is going to be an extraordinary event. And we really want to do all we can to make 23 end in a profound, abundant, and prosperous way. And thank you, both of you, for being here. I appreciate each of you and really, really look forward to this event. So passionstoabundance.com/Jeff Faldon, or go to Elizabeth page or Dorothy's and you'll see the link for it. Sign up. You owe it to yourself. The world needs to hear what you have to offer. And we want to do all we can to support you in doing that. So everybody be blessed. Have an amazing Tuesday. We'll see you at the event. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.